Let's begin with our prayer before study. On this very cold morning. So very cold. Christ, my Lord, the giver of light and wisdom, who opened the eyes of the blind man and transformed the fishermen into wise heralds and teachers of the gospel through the coming of the Holy Spirit, shine also in my mind the light of the grace of the Holy Spirit. Grant me discernment, understanding, and wisdom in learning. Enable me to complete my assignments and to abound in every good work, for to you I give honor and glory. Amen. Most blessed Lord, send the grace of your Holy Spirit on me to strengthen me, that I may learn well the subject I am about to study, and by it become a better person, for your glory, the comfort of my family, and the benefit of your church and our nation. Amen. Christian, would you go get Grace for a minute? Or I guess it's, hey, Grace. Hey, Grace, it just occurred to me a better option for today, since there's no light in there. Why don't you just take your stuff and go up and sit on one of the pews upstairs in the sanctuary? Then we will not make noise. But here's the deal. You can't run around and mess around in the sanctuary. It's the sanctuary, all right? So anybody who's up there, don't mess with stuff. But why don't you just grab your stuff, and then it would be more comfortable, and there's light coming through the windows. Just go up there.
Perfect, thank you.
And I'll ask, and we might just do that. That goes for everybody who's waiting in between today. All right, let us take a look at, oh yes, just a second. Let me find my page. Okay, there we go. Yes, I have papers for you, and you have papers for me, and we will trade. Why don't you go ahead and give me your papers first? You can pass them to Katya and Julia. They can be the paper ladies. Thank you. Julia, do you have them all? Oh, okay. Okay. No, you can wait. Bye. Sorry, Grace.
Let's go.
One thing, because we have bare floors, things echo in here, so your voices are louder here. Just keep that in mind. You don't have to whisper, but if you, outbursts are going to be louder. All right, what do I have to say about your papers? This was the Would You Like to Live in the Middle Ages? I got a lot of good information. Interestingly, almost no one wanted to, but there were a few. Said, oh, there's something good about it. Yeah, I'll just walk around. I feel like there's a couple of ask me's, and I'm just going to hang on to those. We have Katya. We have Christian. Be careful. Don't ever use slang or. Guys, he just said wanna instead of want to. And wanna is not a word. So, Bryn, can you show me your alliteration? Because we're looking for three things.
Oh, the, that one.
Okay, that'll work. I'll let that go. Sorry, I'm just out of it today. Okay, Julia has a ask me. No worries. Luke has a ask me. Luke has a show me.
Yeah, no, that's from
Okay, so Luke, I have a show me. Could you show me? Yes.
Yeah, that's from
Sorry, just that Luke has a bit.
Yeah. I think I only did 2.
Okay, 3 is what we're going for alliteration, guys.
My bad.
Oh, I'm sorry. For some reason, I thought you were down there because you always sit across from Bryn. No, you sit next to Bryn. What? Sometimes you sit across from Bryn. I'm very confused today. You're P2. It's a ask me. So I don't know what you're going for. Okay, that's a P1 because it's just 3 words. It's 3 adjectives, right? Beautiful, beautiful. Yes, you repaired it beautifully. Oh, you haven't asked me? Okay. Strong verb. What is your strong verb? What is the verb in that sentence? Was. So I'm guessing that perhaps you thought extremely or difficult was, but extremely is an adverb and difficult is an adjective. You probably do. Well, unheard is an adjective. How about claimed? No, currently is an adverb because you can't currently. I currently'd this morning. No. Unaware would be an adjective, but look, I'm showing you. Claimed. It did what? It claimed. So that's a verb. We will keep working on that. I think it's really good practice. We should all, the goal is that at your age, we totally nail every single part of speech, right? There's no issues. All right. We read about a lot of artists today and a little bit about Venice. This is just fun facts about Mrs. Ferguson. I booked my hotel in Florence this past week for May. So I'm going to get to see a lot of the artwork that you read about, which is going to be really fun. So if you're with me next year, I can bring pictures, you know. And I'm staying with nuns. I'm staying with the Oblate Sisters of the Assumption in Florence, and they rent out rooms, and it will be very cool. So, yes, their English is not tremendously good. It'll be fine, but I emailed them, and it was just interestingly spelled, and the grammar was interesting. Okay, I only asked you guys 3 questions because there was just so much information here. It was a little overwhelming. Let us start. We read about the writers. Okay, the artists and the builders. The first 2 artists that you read about, and by the way, does everybody remember that you read about a ton of artists?
Yes.
Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring in some artwork from like 1 or 2 over many weeks, and so you can kind of get a look at what they're talking about in the book. The first 2 were, it looks like Cimabue, Cimabue, all right? It says the beginning. Okay, by the way, can we review, what is the Renaissance? Let's start there. What do we mean by Renaissance? Does anybody remember what the word means? No, renaissance. Rebirth. So it is a rebirth of what? Do you remember? Of thinking, and often we associate it with art. What was it a rebirth of in art? Do you know? Mm-hmm. It did. I don't know. Some medieval artwork is very colorful, bright golds and blues and reds. They started discovering and using the artwork of an earlier time period. They started exploring an earlier time and said, we want to be more like that. What earlier time do you think that might be? What's a time where they produced a lot of art that we still see in museums today? Greece and Rome. Greece and Rome. It's a rebirth of Greece and Rome, of Greek and Roman learning and art. Okay? So let me start with a piece of art that is not, okay, this is not considered Renaissance art. I believe I've brought this in before. All right? This is obviously Mary and Jesus. Can I just pass this around? Because I want you to look at it. And I just want you to take a look and tell me if it seems realistic to you, and if not, why not? What do you think, Ben?
Babies look like little men.
The babies look like little men in a lot of them, indeed.
They're like where their eyes connect to your nose.
Okay, it's not very. It doesn't look like a real face, does it? Particularly. Also, take note of where she's sitting, her clothes. Well, let's try to pinpoint what's off about it.
The seats he's sitting in look like a Colosseum.
It does, doesn't it? Which I kind of like to mentally. I don't know that it's intended that way, but I like to think of it that way. She's sitting, the
His forehead's so big.
His eyes are Colosseum.
So this is what art had been like for hundreds of years. That's a really good example of just what art had been like. Mm-hmm. Well, I think you're picking out details, but I'm thinking more of the bigger picture.
Are there the angels at the sides?
Um,
The fingers are kind of long.
yeah, but so does this picture have a lot of depth? Does it feel like it goes in a little bit? Because, I mean, she's sitting in there, but does it really give you the illusion of, do these people seem three-dimensional? They seem very flat, don't they? Byzantine art is rather flat. A lot of people think this is a flaw. I don't think it is. It isn't that they didn't understand. They weren't trying to make it look real. It was very symbolic. But along came this guy, Cimabue, in Florence. And we get this very long biography of him. I really like it. Maybe this strikes home with some of you. It says, his father sent him to school because he was quick to learn. Instead of paying attention to his lessons, Cimabue spent the whole day drawing men, horses, houses, and various other fancies on his books and odd sheets, like one who felt himself compelled to do so by nature. He didn't pay attention to his studies. He only drew things because it's all he wanted to do. It says, but by dint of continual practice, by dint means by use of continual practice, and with the assistance of his natural talent, he far surpassed his teachers in design and color. So unfortunately, I do not have a good, this is a Cimabue. This is a close-up of the crucifixion. This is a bigger painting. And yes, does his nose look a little odd? It's not realistic. And but look at his arm, okay? Look under his arm. It has depth, right? You can see the shading. You can see the curve of that muscle under your shoulder. Look at his chest. You can see the sternum. There are details in it. Well, Cimabue met a young man who also loved to draw and paint, and his name is Giotto. We already met Giotto. I've become suddenly really scared that this is not gonna, oh no, it's fine, okay. I brought in a picture that he did of St. Francis and the birds. You might remember. So here is an example of Giotto, and let's look at the two together. I'm just going to come around I'm going to come around. This is the Giotto. Look, but don't look at the detail. Look at the roundness. Look at the depth of the figures. Do you see? Do you understand what I mean by that? Look, she's got shape. Yeah, his head is round. Look at the little folds in his wrist. My granddaughter Chloe, some of you have seen pictures. She came and spent Friday with me and her mother, and her arms look like sausage rolls. Like there's a fold there, really right at her wrist, just like that, just like that. But look, you can look at her neck. Look at her face. She looks round. She looks like she has depth in a way that this one just doesn't really look. This was a huge step in the direction of being realistic. And so Giotto and Cimabue are considered the beginning of the Renaissance. What else do I have for you guys? I have a little picture. I like this one. I'm going to pass this around. This is Pentecost. He painted a bunch of scenes from the life of Christ, and obviously this was after the ascension. But look at the room they're in, and look at the fact that you can see some of them are closer to us and some of them are farther away. By the way, that picture I just carried around, that was a close-up of this. This is the whole painting. That was simply this part of the entire painting.
How big is the painting?
That's just what I was looking for, and I don't see it. I wonder if it's in the back, because sometimes these paintings are much larger than you might think. I don't see the answer to that question. Also, take a look at this. I told you that you might remember that I brought in a picture of St. Francis. This is the church in Assisi devoted to St. Francis. It's covered with scenes from the life of Francis. Isn't that amazing? And look, here's the Pentecost. I guess this isn't scenes from St. Francis. This must be the scenes from the life of Christ, because there's the Pentecost that you're passing around right now. So it gives you an idea of size. I know. It's amazing. That room would be amazing. We shall go paint our houses like that, just covered in paintings. So this is the beginning, and this is about the year 1300. This is the beginning of brand new art. Some of you are into art, some of you maybe not so much, but it's good for us to know something about them. It says Chimabue came upon Jato, who was a shepherd, while his sheep were grazing. He was drawing one of them from life with a roughly pointed piece of stone upon a smooth surface of rock, although he had never had any master but nature. Jato had never had any art training, and he had a sharp rock, and he was scratching a lovely picture of a sheep on a rock with another rock. And so he took him under his wing and trained him, and he got to be even better than his teacher. All right, next week we'll look at Fra Angelico, which you also read about. Oh, shoot, I didn't want to close that. And we will kind of skip over the rest of the artist section because we'll go back to that each week. Okay. Who was Savonarola? What was his message and what happened to him? Christian.
He was a Dominican friar who was Christian renewal. He was executed for a mistake.
What's wrong with renewal? Why would they execute him?
Because they wanted luxurious
Luke, did you want to add something to that? Yes. Savonarola started going through, guys, you have to remember something. These artists were in Florence that we just looked at. All these artists were working in Florence that were in this chapter at one time or another. The Medici family, remember them, the banker family that was running everything? This place was rich. I mean, the people were wealthy. The surroundings were sumptuous and luxurious. And you know, it's easy to get used to that, isn't it? If you have ever gone somewhere and stayed for a while that's just super fancy and very posh, even more posh than your home, and then you go back to your home, it's not as nice. Savonarola thought, and I believe rightly so, that when we're surrounded by that all the time, it makes us forget about God. We just kind of care about our comfort. And so he's told people, you need to get back to the basics. You need to get rid of this stuff. And so he was so convincing that people brought their fancy stuff out and brought it out into the courtyard and they just lit it on fire. Artwork, fancy clothes. They built a big bonfire. This is known as the bonfire of the vanities. What does vanity mean? It means something for us, but some translations of Ecclesiastes, the teacher says, vanity, vanity, all is vanity. What is vanity? Let me ask you this. What does it mean to say you do something in vain?
Just a lot of effort.
What?
Put a lot of effort and it's
Well, maybe you put a lot of effort into it, but that's not the important part of it.
useless.
It's useless, in vain. You didn't get what you wanted. Maybe you did work hard, like Ben said, but if you worked in vain, it didn't do any good. I studied my Latin all night, but in vain, because I still couldn't read the sentence. Something like that, all right? In vain. I exercised every day in vain because I still didn't make the team. You didn't get what you wanted. So, vanity, has anybody ever heard the word vanity before? Okay, what do we use it to mean? Or what do we use the word vain to mean often? Yeah, like a form of pride. So somebody who thinks they're really pretty and is looking in the mirror all the time and doing their hair all the time, and they might be vain, vanity. But this bonfire of the vanities, it means the first kind, things that are useless for what really matters, which is being in heaven with God. So anyway, they lit the stuff on fire, But you know what? A lot of people who sold these things, they didn't like it very much. And they reported Savonarola, and finally he was executed. Also, he was saying things like the Pope shouldn't have a bunch of fancy stuff. And the Pope didn't really care for this much. So look at the front of our book again. Renaissance and Reformation times. We talked about Renaissance, painting is changing. Reformation. Savonarola wasn't technically a reformer like we talk about when we talk about the Reformation. He didn't think there was anything wrong with the church. He just thought people weren't living the life. He thought what it taught was A-okay. But he was starting to question the way people were living it. All right, let us move on to Venice. What happened to Venice after Constantinople fell in 1453, Luke?
Trade routes fell. There is no one control.
Venice had been the super, if Florence was wealthy, Venice was amazingly wealthy. I did not bring my map, but can we just, why don't you, which map do I like the looks of? Why don't you turn back to that plague map on page 85. Keep your hand where the questions are, because we're going to go back. Everybody look at that map of Europe with me. See if you can find Venice. It's up in the north of Italy. And so look at where it is. Look at it and look at Constantinople. Look at what you might do if you wanted to get on a boat in Venice and how easy it would be to sail to Constantinople. And you could go through there up into the Black Sea. You could also sail what's not on this map farther to the east, farther to the right, to where the Mediterranean ends, and go overland. You could go farther south towards where Egypt is and go into Arabia and go through the Persian Gulf. Actually, just a second, hold on. Yeah, turn to the 81 map, page 81. It's bigger. It's not got the things labeled that we want. But remember where Venice was? Up there at the top of the Adriatic Sea. Look how easy it is. Guys, everything that came from the east came through Venice. This is why when those crusaders, if you remember, that crusading group that ended up going to Constantinople, they all said, meet in Venice. Venice is where we can get boats. Because that's where everybody going back and forth, west to east, they went to Venice. But then in 1453, I was going to say there is no Constantinople anymore. There is a Constantinople. It's just not run by Christians. It's not run by Europeans anymore. And so stuff doesn't travel through there anymore. Now, something else happened that they don't talk about in this chapter. What happened in 1492, 40 years after the fall of Constantinople? Columbus. Columbus sailed the ocean blue in 1492. Right. What happened? What country was Columbus? What country sent Columbus? Who paid for it? Spain. Look at Spain. Or if you still have your map. Spain, it's not labeled, is it? Spain, Portugal. Do we all know where Spain and Portugal are? That little peninsula that sticks out. Spain and Portugal started sending people back and forth to the New World. They also, buckle up for one of Mrs. Ferguson's terrible pictures. Okay, this is the Mediterranean This is the Persian Gulf. Okay, then this is Africa. All right, I realize it's not very good. All right, this is Africa. And you can go across here and get in. This is water. You can sail Spain, Portugal, around Africa, and you can get to India. They were doing that over and over and over after Constantinople fell, because it was the only way to get there now, because the Turks were in the way. Till Columbus said, hey, what if we just go this way and keep going, and we'll hit it eventually. All of these people, all these sailors were leaving from Spain and Portugal. Who's going to start getting rich? Spain and Portugal. Not Venice. Spain and Portugal became super duper wealthy areas of Europe. And Venice. Venice is no longer the place to be. Does that make sense to you guys? Everything is knit together. The fact that they're exploring the New World and the Turks took over. All these are happening at the same time. And one thing makes another thing happen, or helps another thing happen. All right. We will revisit that when we talk about the explorers. What seem to be the greatest preoccupations of the 16th century popes? What did the popes seem? What?
Resigning.
Oh, well, not very many of them resigned, did they? What do you think, Julia? Wealth and power. Do you have something else, Christian?
They were ambitious to make naval wars and wrote magnificent and splendid art movies.
Yeah. What are they supposed to be concerned about?
The church.
The church and God and shepherding the flock of the church. Dorothy Mills says, the popes of the 16th century, not strong enough themselves to unite Italy under their rule, were determined that no other Italian state should become powerful enough to do it, and to this end they frequently encouraged foreign intrigue. What is foreign intrigue? Or what is intrigue at all? What does that mean they were doing? Let me put it in other words. The Pope didn't want any Florence or Siena or Pisa or Milan or Venice to become too strong, stronger than the papal states. And he wasn't strong enough to unite them all and become in charge. So what will he do instead? He says he resorts to foreign intrigue. What do you think he was doing?
Like hiring mercenaries?
Perhaps sometimes. Picture this. Christian wants to take over the table. I know he does. But he can't. He can't. Because each of you are too determined and stubborn to really let him take over. So he's gonna try another tack. He can't just say, everybody, listen to me. I'm gonna be in charge now. And everyone says, yeah, no, you're not. But he whispers to Ben across the table, hey, Ben, I think Luke keeps scooting his chair over closer, and I think he's trying to take your pen. And so now Ben starts scooting away from Luke just a little bit, right? And he's watching Luke. In the meantime, Christian leans over to Anne. It's like, Anne, isn't Bren annoying sometimes? I think she wants your water bottle. Yeah, I think, watch out. She's going to switch water bottles with you because she likes your color better. And so now Anne is watching Bren. She's watching her water bottle. What are they no longer watching anymore?
Their own land.
Christian. Christian. And so if he can make everybody suspicious of everyone else, they're not going to notice what he's doing. And also,
Because he wants to steal your book.
okay. You get the idea. You get the idea. This is that's what foreign intrigue. Christian was intriguing. He was planting seeds of doubt and dissension and problems so that he can get away with stuff. This was the plan, and you know what? I hate to say this, but it works pretty well. Don't do it, though. This is bad. Dorothy Mills says, as spiritual rulers, these popes failed tragically. These are the most, when you hear people talk about the bad popes, when people say, oh, you don't need to listen to the church because what about those bad popes? These are generally the popes they're talking about. This is the time period they're talking about. Borgias, Alexander Borgia, was notorious. Let me read this, because it's kind of scary. A contemporary. What is a contemporary? It says a contemporary wrote of Alexander. What does that mean? What? But not exactly. It's got temporary, tempus in it. Contemporary. It has to do with time. And so this person who's writing is a contemporary of Alexander. What do you suspect it means? What? It means at the same time. Con means with. So in other words, he lived at the same time. We are all contemporaries. We're living at the same time. Julius Caesar is not our contemporary. He's been gone a really long time now. This is the description. So in other words, somebody who was alive at the time was describing it. Here's how he described the Pope. He was gifted with a most penetrating intelligence. He was clear, industrious, and eloquent. He was unequaled in the dexterity of his actions, his persuasiveness, and his obstinate power of resistance. He was so great a man that he would have been a great prince in thought, word, and deed, had his natural gifts been allowed to develop and not been overlaid with so many vices. Says, all was as dark as night in his time. Never in the lands of the church were seditions more threatening, robberies more frequent, murders more cruel, the peace of the highways more brutally disturbed, or the way of travelers more dangerous. Never was Rome in a more unhappy state. That's not good. That's not good. However, what did we say these popes were more concerned with? Julia, what did you say again? What was your answer to that?
Wealth and power.
Wealth and power. Let's talk about the wealth. We talked about the power. They're intriguing, right? Wealth. They invited world-class artists to come to Rome and beautify it. And they did. And many of you, I'll bring in some pictures from this, are familiar with Michelangelo and the Sistine Chapel. This is the time of the Renaissance popes, right? This was in the 1500s when Leonardo da Vinci, Michelangelo were making incredible artwork that is still in Rome today. And it's lovely, but that's not what was supposed to be their number one job. We're thankful for the art, but it's not what was supposed to be their number one job. All right. That is all I have to say about this chapter. We will look at some of the other artists. Do you guys have any comments? All right, for next week, I would like you to read chapter 3. Just Dorothy Mills, chapter 3. We are going to look at the Holy Roman Empire again. Hey, before we close our reading guides down, why don't you look with me on page 83? Look at that map. This is Europe in 1300. Can everybody see the Holy Roman Empire? It's pretty big. what are some of those countries today? Germany, some of France. France is not that skinny anymore. Switzerland, Austria, up along the coast there is Belgium and the Netherlands, and all of these countries were the Holy Roman Empire. This is the heirs of Charlemagne. Do you remember Charlemagne went to Rome and the Pope crowned him at Christmas Day in the year 800 and said he was the Holy Roman Emperor? And the people in Constantinople went, not emperor, we're the emperors. But by 1453, there were no emperors over in Constantinople anymore. And so, the Holy Roman Emperor becomes the emperor. We're going to read about what's going on with them next week. That's what chapter 3 is about. Alrighty, we are going to talk about the Hobbit, because we finished the Hobbit, and I wore my Hobbity shirt.
You are very tall for a hobbit.
I am very tall. I'm exceedingly tall for a hobbit. I'm short for a human being, but exceedingly tall for a hobbit. Let's see, last week we did a paper on character, and you picked Bilbo or Thorin. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to bounce back and forth. We're going to do one type of paper one week and another type of paper the next week, and that way you can get each paper back with notes. You need to find a place to write things down, and we are going to write some things down for a new paper. And we're going to discuss, and we're going to jot things down while we discuss. We're going to jot down ideas. I have, most of you, this is just old. You've heard the outline for these papers so many times, but I went ahead and made an outline. Just to remind you, so you can have this out, what I am looking for. All of these things should be in there. This doesn't have the figures of speech. You should have a list somewhere going. But why don't you each take one of these? Again, there's nothing new on this. I just tend to write it out every single time, and it occurred to me that maybe it would be nice for you guys to just have it to look at as you're writing. Our paper is going to address this question. Should Bilbo, wow, that's good, have taken the Arkenstone? And by taken, I include in that gave it to Bard. You know, everything he did with it is included in should he take it. And we're going to yes and no. Yes. Except I don't want you to decide yet, because I feel like things might come to light. You might change your mind. I'm sure you do have an opinion right now, but you might change your mind as we discuss it. So when we left off last week, they were sitting on the doorstep, waiting to figure out how to get in, and suddenly Bilbo figured it out. The thrush was knocking the snails, and he understood suddenly in a flash, and he called them, and they opened it up, and he went down. Tell me, before we address this, tell me a little bit about Bilbo's encounter with the dragon. Do you think he did a good job? What?
It's like talking to the devil.
Yeah. What does the dragon? Why? What's dangerous about talking to a dragon? Okay. Wait, what did this dragon, particular Smaug, what did he do that was problematic in his discussion with Bilbo? What did he do, Ben?
I guess at one time he was like, I'm kind of tempted to take the Hawkins down.
Well, the dragon didn't ever talk about the Arkenstone. I don't think he really knew. I don't think they discussed the Arkenstone at all.
Because then, like, there's one key to share, you can have some of this treasure.
Say again, Anne?
He said there's plenty of treasure
Yeah.
you can have some.
Yeah. Why do you think he said that? What did he want Bilbo to do?
Get greedy.
Okay, A, get greedy. Here, let me find it. I love this chapter. Okay. Let me read this too, because it's so entertaining. They open the door, and there's this dark tunnel down. So we don't know where, but a dragon's down there somewhere. For a long time, the dwarves stood in the dark before the door and debated, until at last Thorin spoke. Now is the time for our esteemed Mr. Baggins, who has proved himself a good companion on our long road, and a hobbit full of courage and resource, far exceeding his size, and if I may say so, possessed of good luck, far exceeding the usual allowance. Now is the time for him to perform the service for which he was included in our company. Now is the time for him to earn his reward. You are familiar with Thorin's style on important occasions, so I will not give you any more of it, though he went on a good deal longer than this. It was certainly an important occasion, but Bilbo felt impatient. By now he's quite familiar with Thorin too, and he knew what he was driving at. If you mean you think it is my job to go into the secret passage first, O Thorin, Thrain's son, Oakenshield, may your beard grow ever longer, he said crossly, say so at once and have done. I might refuse. I've got you out of 2 messes already, which were hardly in the original bargain, so that I am, I think, already owed some reward. But 3rd time pays for all, as my father used to say, and somehow I don't think I shall refuse. Perhaps I've begun to trust my luck more than I used to in the old days. He meant last spring, before he left his own house, but it seemed centuries ago. But anyways, I think I will go and have a peep at once and get it over. All right, so I've already got you out of 2 messes already. I think I am owed some reward. Do you think Bilbo might have thought he was justified in choosing the Arkenstone for his share? Would that be a yes or a no?
Yes.
Yeah.
Although didn't like Thorin like say that he wanted the Arkenstone?
Yes, which would be. So he earned it. What has he done for them? Tell me something he's already done for them. Ben.
Save them from the spiders.
Okay. He fought the spiders.
And in the Hobbit, that if you look it up, that's the first time he actually killed something.
And it says that there was a change in him. Alone there in the dark, fighting this dreadful creature and stabbing it, changed him. What else has he got them out of?
Saved from the elves.
Okay. Elves, prison, or jail. Jail is shorter, isn't it? Is there anything else that he's done for them? Yes. Maybe not as big, but it didn't go well, but he tried to rob the trolls. He did try. He was reaching in the pocket, and if that purse hadn't yelled at him, he would have got away with it. He's given them advice. He climbed up in the tree to look around. Of course, he misunderstood what he was seeing.
I mean, we're talking about like the whole book. He did go into like the Dragon's Lair first, and, like grab the cup.
Yes. Went into Dragon's Lair. All the way down alone. Some of them, a couple of them went with him partway. So, he has really, really earned a reward.
Was he the one that told them to go inside and shut the door?
He is.
So like he saved them from being smashed.
He is. I think he had already taken the Arkansas, but we'll have to look at that he'd already taken it at that point. But Luke also pointed something out. Say it again, Luke.
In the beginning of the book, Thorin said all he really wanted was the Arkenstone.
I don't know if he said that in the beginning.
He said it at some
He said it, yes. Let's find that place. Yes, when they're looking through the treasure. So when they go back in, the not at home. Okay. All right. So Bilbo, let's read the part where Bilbo finds it. Okay. Oh, well, actually, it says he knew it from Thorin's description. So Thorin had already described it.
I'm sure he described it.
Oh, here we go. Hold on, I lost the page. So he brings the cup out. By the way, so Bilbo brought a cup. Does that remind anybody of anything that we've read already? What? No. We read a story in which another... No. And we read a story in which somebody snuck into a dragon's lair and stole a cup. It was in Beowulf. That's what woke up the dragon that ended up taking out Beowulf. A runaway slave, snuck in and stole a cup. And the dragon immediately knew that a cup was missing. And he came out and started ravaging things. Okay, here's where it is. So he brought the cup. From that talk turned to the great hoard itself and to the things that Thorin and Balin remembered. And then they list a bunch of stuff, particular spears and things like this. But fairest of all was the great white gem, which the dwarves had found beneath the roots of the mountain, the heart of the mountain, the Arkenstone of Thrain. The Arkenstone, murmured Thorin in the dark, half dreaming with his chin upon his knees. It was like a globe with 1,000 facets. It shone like silver in the firelight, like water in the sun, like snow under the stars, like rain upon the moon. But the enchanted desire of the hoard had fallen from Bilbo. All through their talk, he was only half listening to them. It says, he sat nearest to the door with one ear cocked for any beginnings of a sound. That's interesting, too. All the other dwarves are, remember this, remember that awesome armor. Bilbo's not listening anymore. He's listening for sounds of the dragon. He's on alert. He's the only one who is. So, Bilbo goes back in after the dragon is gone, and he sees a light in the distance, and he heads towards it. It was the Arkenstone, the heart of the mountain. So Bilbo guessed from Thorin's description, but indeed there could not be two such gems, even in so marvelous a hoard, even in all the world. Ever as he climbed, the same white gleam had shone before him and drawn his feet towards it. Suddenly Bilbo's arm went towards it, drawn by its enchantment. His small hand would not close about it, for it was a large and heavy gem, but he lifted it, shut his eyes, and put it in his pocket. Now I am a burglar indeed, thought he, but I suppose I must tell the dwarves about it. Sometime. They did say I could pick and choose my own share, and I think I would choose this if they took all the rest. All the same, he had an uncomfortable feeling that the picking and choosing had not really been meant to include this marvelous gem, and that trouble would come of it. All right. Does Bilbo have any reservations about whether or not he's allowed to take it?
No.
Well, what did I just read? Let me read it again. All the same, he had an uncomfortable feeling that picking and choosing had not really been meant to include this marvelous gem, and that trouble would come of it.
State that Bilbo couldn't take it.
No, but does he have any reservations?
Yeah.
He does. It says he has an uncomfortable feeling. He, in other words, suspects that Thorin would not agree if they laid all the treasure out and And Bilbo said, yeah, I'll take that for my share. So it makes him, he suspects Thorin doesn't want him to choose that. Does that make sense? Now, if I remember correctly, just a second. Let me see if I can find. You go back in. Okay. I don't think oh, here we go. Now the days passed slowly and wearily. Many of the dwarves spent their time piling and ordering the treasure, and now Thorin spoke of the Arkenstone of Thrain and bade them eagerly to look for it in every corner. For the Arkenstone of my father, he said, is worth more than a river of gold in itself, and to me is beyond price. That stone of all the treasure I name unto myself, and I will be avenged on anyone who finds it and withholds it. So what did Thorin, tell me what Thorin just said? Thorin does what?
Thorin says he will like kill.
Thorin says he wants it and he's gonna kill him.
Yes. Thorin wants it, will punish anyone who takes it. So if Bilbo wasn't sure before, oh, he's sure now. But that was not intended to be his share. Does that make sense to you guys? Mm-hmm. You know, there's another thing Bilbo did to earn it. But it says in the book, no one ever remembered he did it. You guys remember what? Bilbo directly led to the killing of the dragon. How? Do you remember?
Yeah.
What did he do, Bryn?
It's the one that told them where the imperfection is small supply.
Yeah. He's the one who discovered how to kill the dragon.
I feel like Bilbo did the most.
Bilbo did a lot. So, despite the fact that no one really remembered that, then he mentioned it to the bird, and the bird told Bard. So he found out how to kill Smaug. That's huge. All right, let's see. I marked one more place. Let's take a look at what he says when he sneaks out at night and takes it to Bard and the elves' camp. This is the Arkenstone of Thrain, said Bilbo, the heart of the mountain, and it is also the heart of Thorin. He values it above a river of gold. I give it to you. It will aid you in your bargaining. Then Bilbo, not without a shudder and not without a glance of longing, handed the marvelous stone to Bard, and he held it in his hand as though dazed. But how is it yours to give? He asked at last with an effort. Oh, well, said the hobbit uncomfortably. It isn't exactly. But, well, I'm willing to let it stand against all my claim, don't you know? I may be a burglar, or so they say. Personally, I never felt like one. But I am an honest one, I hope, more or less. Anyway, I'm going back now, and the dwarves can do what they like to me. Hope you will find it useful. What is his motive in handing it over? What does he think will happen next? What is it, Ben?
One would make a just to get the orcs back in order to war.
Yeah. That he'll bargain, won't he? If you give me back the Arkenstone, I'll give you back what you want. It doesn't work. So let's see if we have a yes and or a no. So what does he hope to accomplish?
To make
Yeah, okay, so here, I'm gonna put this down a little bit. He wants to make peace. Because Thorin will bargain. So can we just stop for a minute and discuss something else? What does Bard and why do the elves think they're owed anything? Because they're sitting outside the dragon's home, or the dwarves' home, the dwarves' cave, and saying, you owe us. We expect you to give us some of that. They don't say it quite like that, but it's basically the idea. Why do they think they deserve any of it? What do you think, Ben?
Because back in the beginning, the dwarves, well, back in the beginning when it talks about Erebor being plentiful, dwarves actually once bargained to tell them to give it to the elves. The elves refused. So they are hidden theirs.
So the elves feel like they have a claim. What's Bard's claim? Okay, first of all, because the dwarves and Bilbo stirred up the dragon came and wiped their town out. Not to mention, who is Bard? Who are his ancestors?
something like the son of Gideon or something. Dale?
Yeah, he's from the line of the lords of Dale, the town, which the dragon wiped out when he first came, and took a bunch of their stuff. Bard says, some of the stuff in there is ours. Some of the stuff in there belongs to us. Not to mention that it's just common courtesy when you are super duper wealthy to help a bunch of cold, starving, homeless people. So Bard, I'm just gonna, this is easier. Bard and the elves have a claim to it. They're homeless and hungry. No, they're not. But the people are. What is... This is a multifaceted question. Why do you think Thorin doesn't want to bargain with them? Aside from the Arkenstone. Why does he not say, oh, you're right. I feel so bad for you guys. Here, take some stuff. Why does he not do that? Something you need to know. Dwarves are very susceptible to greed. It is a thing. Of all the races of Middle-earth, dwarves fall for it the fastest. They have a flaw in them that we will discuss a little bit more as we read through Lord of the Rings. There might be a reason for that. So he wants it for himself. He's I don't know, like mesmerized, enchanted by it. But just the desire for the treasure, all right? Now, that's one reason. And we could say it's not in his control, maybe. that he's, magicked by the treasure. Is there another reason that's more logical?
If you didn't want war.
Okay, so picture this. You're king. You're all king now, or queen. Congrats. And an army comes and parks in front of your city walls and says, give us whatever. Give us your, I don't know, golden bracelet. Your priceless golden bracelet.
Sure. No, just-
And they're sitting there with an army. Why might you not want to give it to them? I understand why you might want to give it to them, so they'll go away. Mm.
But
But you'll keep wanting more.
They might keep wanting more. They might attack you anyway.
other armies might come.
Other armies might come. Also, it's rude. Okay. If you want to borrow your sibling's favorite pen, how do you go about acquiring the use of the pen? Do you go and threaten them?
Negotiation.
Yes. Are you familiar with you can catch more flies with honey than with vinegar, they say, which means you can lure people in with sweetness and kindness more than harshness. So you don't usually just show up with an army and say, hey, give us what we want. Maybe it's nice to go knock on the door. Now, you might say, but they did kind of go knock on the door. Yeah, but there was already a bunch of people camped behind them. And Thor's like, no, all these people you need to move away. I don't bargain with armed hordes. Do you think that's legitimate?
Yeah.
I think that's legitimate. So I don't know but look, our question is, does this fit into this? Okay, he wants to make peace. Does it work?
No.
It doesn't work. So his plan doesn't work. Thorin doesn't give in. What else happens more personally for Bilbo after he does this? What?
The dwarves kick him out.
Yeah, the dwarf, well, who particularly kicks him out?
Thorin.
Thorin kicks him out.
Didn't he start 12 of them?
Yes, Thorin kicks him out, and Thorin threatens to kill him, basically. Yeah, which I assume, I don't know how high it is, but I'm assuming is probably going to be fatal. All right. What other questions can we ask? He earned it, but Thorin doesn't really say it's part of his share. He has good motives and he wants to make peace. And somebody mentioned this. Who in particular praised this action? Somebody told Bilbo, well done. Gandalf. I'm going to put this here. Gandalf praised him. How about, can I just do something? Can I change this? I'm going to put in here, others think he did the right thing. I'm sorry to. And one of those points, but Gandalf praised him. Who else thinks he did the right thing? Bard. Bard respects him. Do all of the dwarves agree with Thorin?
Yes. No. Alan.
Yeah. So Balin is sorry for Thorin's anger, we'll say. Can you guys still see? I need to start standing up and writing, starting higher, okay? I'll learn how to use this board more effectively. Sorry. If you need me to read something to you, just holler out. So other people think he did the right thing. People that we respect, Gandalf, Bard, they seem like good sorts. Like they're good judges of character.
Do you think the Elven King respected it?
I think that the Elven King seems to respect it. Let's take a look at the conversation. It's right here. The Elven King looked at Bilbo with a new wonder. Bilbo Baggins, he said, you are more worthy to wear the armor of elf princes than many that have looked more comely in it. But I wonder if Thorin Oakenshield will see it so. I have more knowledge of dwarves in general than you have, perhaps. I advise you to remain with us, and here you shall be honored and thrice welcome. Oh, and I just thought of another question I want to ask you guys. Let's go back to that conversation. We got sidetracked. The conversation that Bilbo has with Smaug. And Bryn told us that dragons are tricky. I think Luke said deceitful. I don't remember who said what, but I know we talked about being tricky and deceitful. And let me read. Okay. He says he came just to see if Smaug was truly as magnificent as people say. Truly, songs and tales fall utterly short of the reality. O Smaug, chiefest and greatest of calamities. Do you need something?
Yep.
Oh, okay. You have nice manners for a thief and a liar, said the dragon. You seem familiar with my name, but I don't seem to remember smelling you before. Who are you and where do you come from, may I ask? You may indeed. I come from under the hill, and under the hills and over the hills my path led, and through the air. I am he that walks unseen. I am the clue finder, the web cutter, the stinging fly. I was chosen for the lucky number. I am he that buries his friends alive and drowns them and draws them alive again from the water. I came from the end of a bag, but no bag went over me. I am the friend of bears and the guest of eagles. I am ring winner and luck wearer, and I am barrel rider, went on Bilbo, beginning to be pleased with his riddling. That's better, said Smaug, but don't let your imagination run away with you. This is, of course, the proper way to talk to dragons if you don't want to reveal your name, which is wise, and don't want to infuriate them by a flat refusal, which is also very wise. No dragon can resist the fascination of riddling talk and wasting time trying to understand it. There was a lot here which Smaug did not understand at all, though I expect you do, since you know all about Bilbo's adventures to which he was referring. But he thought he understood enough, and he chuckled in his wicked inside. I thought so last night, he smiled to himself. Lake men. Some nasty scheme of those miserable tub-trading lake men, or I'm a lizard. I haven't been down that way for an age and an age, but I will soon alter that. Why does he think it's the lake men? What did Bilbo say that made him go straight to, oh, it's those lake men. They're in this. Barrel rider, because he knows the barrels come in. Very well, oh barrel rider, he said aloud. Maybe Barrel was your pony's name, and maybe not, though it was fat enough. You may walk unseen, but you did not walk all the way. Let me tell you, I ate 6 ponies last night, and I shall catch and eat all the others before long. In return for the excellent meal, I will give you one piece of advice for your good. Don't have more to do with dwarves than you can help. Dwarves? Said Bilbo in pretended surprise. Don't talk to me, said Smaug. I know the smell and taste of dwarf. No one better. Don't tell me that I can eat a dwarf-ridden pony and not know it. You'll come to a bad end if you go with such friends, thief barrel rider. I don't mind if you go back and tell them so from me. But he did not tell Bilbo that there was one smell he could not make out at all, hobbit smell. It was quite outside his experience and puzzled him mightily. I suppose you got a fair price for the cup last night, he went on. Come now, did you? Nothing at all? Well, that's just like them. And I suppose they're skulking outside, and your job is to do all the dangerous work and get what you can when I'm not looking. For them? And you will get a fair share? Don't you believe it? If you get off alive, you'll be lucky. What did Smaug just do in that conversation? He gave him advice, but how does Bilbo feel after receiving that advice? And how does he feel about the dwarves? Yeah. Dragons can do this. They make good sense. That's why you don't want to talk to them. So guys, listen to me. If you ever don't ever talk to dragons. I'm telling you, this is your moment to learn this lesson. Just don't do it. Or speak in riddles, but don't listen to them because they're going to try to get inside your head, right? As they say. So Smaug is manipulating him. Oh, I know he's mixed up with dwarves. And Smaug's not stupid. And he says, I was chosen for the lucky number. Well, so they wouldn't have 13. There's 14 of them in the party. He's got that. And he knows the rest were dwarves. And he knows what dwarves are like. And he nailed it, didn't he? Oh, I suppose you're supposed to do all the dangerous stuff? And what? You'll get a share? All right. So, now, you tell me. What might have been going through Bilbo's head when he picked up the Arkenstone?
They might not give me a fair share of stuff, so it's like...
Yeah. And where would that thought have come from? Smaug, yes. So, should we base our actions based on manipulation by dragons? Probably not. We don't have a lot of experience of this. So would that be a yes, he should, or no, he shouldn't? Because the dragon manipulated him.
Although the dragon wasn't exactly lying.
No, he wasn't. But there's this great line here. Just a second. Let's see if I can find it. Finally, he tells them, and there's a description of dwarves. Okay. This isn't really what I wanted. The talk turned to the dragon's wicked words about the dwarves. Bilbo wished he had never heard them, or at least that he could feel quite certain that the dwarves were now absolutely honest when they declared that they had never thought at all about what would happen after the treasure had been won. We knew it would be a desperate venture, said Thorin, and we know that still. And I still think that when we have won it, it will be time enough to think about what to do about it. As for your share, Mr. Baggins, I assure you we are more than grateful, and you shall choose your own 14th as soon as we have anything to divide. I'm sorry if you're worried about transport, and I admit the difficulties are great. We will do whatever we can for you. Believe me or not, as you like. The paragraph I wanted to find says something like, this is just the way dwarves are. They're not great, but they're faithful in a pinch, and to give him credit, they really intended to reward him handsomely for the job he was going to do. But when he took that, he still remembered those dragon words, didn't he? So why don't we say the dragon planted thoughts against the dwarves. Yes. Sure. The dragon planted thoughts against the dwarves. So, perhaps Bilbo Bilbo didn't think it through. What else could we say about this? He was being manipulated.
You shouldn't like really believe the dragon.
Yeah, you shouldn't believe dragons. Shouldn't trust dragons. That's good, Luke. Okay, what have we got here? I feel like we've got now 3 good yeses and 3 good nos with some support. So your job is going to be, we're not done with our discussion of The Hobbit yet because I want to talk about the ending too. But your job's going to be to pick a side and using the outline I gave you, put together a paper, which you have more than enough information here. You can add to it. Throwing in a quote from the book is always dandy. But I urge you guys to be specific. So I've been writing that in some of your papers. Some of you have got the whole format down, right? You know how to outline these papers, you know how to write them, you know how to list your reasons. So how do you make them longer? How do you make them more meaty and expand them? By being very specific, by not just commenting on an event, but delving into it a little more deeply. I want to see P1, P2, strong verb, alliteration, and simile. Our new one. Those are the 5 things that we are including. And I don't see why you can't write this week. Yeah, for next week. At this point, we've done a lot of these. Any questions on that? This is exactly like the Would I Want to Live in the Middle Ages paper. It's just a different question. What's been happening in the Shire while Bilbo was gone on this adventure?
His house. His house was confiscated.
His house is being auctioned, the contents of his house are being auctioned off so the Sackville Bagginses can take over. And because they've always wanted Baggin. And they figure he's dead. He's been gone for a year. He must be dead. He barely rescues it. What's his trip home like?
It seemed like it was very pleasant.
Yeah, it's kind of just a stroll.
And Gandalf was totally safe.
He was totally safe because so many of the goblins died in the Battle of 5 Armies that had marched out. So they could go through the Misty Mountains. They went north. They had Bjorn with them a lot of the way. They went north around the Misty Mirkwood, so they didn't have to go through Mirkwood again. And things were very, very calm. And so, as all things come to an end, even this story, a day came at last when they were in sight of the country where Bilbo had been born and bred, where the shapes of the land and of the trees were as well known to him as his hands and toes. Coming to a rise, he could see his own hill in the distance, and he stopped suddenly and said, "Roads go ever on and on, over rock and under tree, by caves where never sun has shone, by streams that never find the sea. over snow by winter sown, and through the merry flowers of June, over grass and over stone, and under mountains in the moon. Roads go ever, ever on, under cloud and under star, yet feet that wandering have gone turn at last to home afar. Eyes that fire and sword have seen, and horror in this halls of stone, look at last on meadows green, and trees and hills they long have known. Gandalf looked at him. "My dear Bilbo," he said, "something is the matter with you. You are not the hobbit that you were." He's changed. We've talked about that change, right? He fought that spider. He fought those spiders, that one that he killed all alone in the dark. He figured out how to rescue his friends. He was present at a battle, even though he put on his ring and then got conked on the head and, wasn't really active in it. One autumn evening, some years afterwards, Bilbo was sitting in his study, writing his memoirs. He thought of calling them There and Back Again, a Hobbit's Holiday, when there was a ring at the door. It was Gandalf and a dwarf, and the dwarf was actually Balin. This book we just read is Or There and Back Again. This is Bilbo's book, right? This is his. The new master is of wiser kind, said Balin, and very popular, for of course he gets most of the credit for the present prosperity. They are making songs which say that in his day the rivers run with gold. Then the prophecies of the old songs have turned out to be true after a fashion, said Bilbo. Of course, said Gandalf, and why should not they prove true? Surely you don't disbelieve the prophecies because you had a hand in bringing them about yourself? You don't really suppose, do you, that all your adventures and escapes were managed by mere luck for your sole benefit? You are a very fine person, Mr. Baggins, and I am very fond of you, but you are only quite a little fellow in the wide world after all. Thank goodness, said Bilbo, laughing, and handed him the tobacco jar. All of your adventures and escapes were not arranged just by luck for your sole benefit. You're just one person. This wasn't all for you. There's a grander scheme at work in things. That grander scheme unfolds for us when we read the Lord of the Rings trilogy. What I would like you to read for our next meeting is Fellowship of the Ring. I want you to read the prologue. I know you might say, oh, I know all about what's in the prologue. I'd like you to read the prologue anyway. All right? All the way through chapter 4. So prologue, chapter 1 and through 4. We will be spending 4 weeks, I believe, on Fellowship, on Two Towers, and Return of the King. But we're reading through a pretty good clip. So if you have extra time, it's totally fine and probably not a bad idea to read past. Or if you're listening to it on Audible or something, just go ahead and if you want to. And it might be that you want to know what's going to happen. So the paper, Fellowship of the Ring, and Chapter 3 of Dorothy Mills. Are there any questions? Next week I will find out about the lights. I'm a little cold. I don't know about you guys. I don't know how to do anything with the heat in here. So I will find out how to operate things and also about the lights in the bathroom. But